Vanakkam. In this lesson, we are going to look at yes/no questions. Aam, illai, vinakkal. So, how are we going to ask yes/no question? We already learned the use of idu and adu in our earlier lessons. So when we are asking question, is it, is this, or is that, we just add "a" at the end. So for example, idu pattam. This is kite. So when we are going to ask, is this kite? We have to add "a" at the end of the object's name, which is pattam here. So idu pattama. In the same way, when we are referring to someone's name, Ival Shanti, she is Shanti. So when we want to ask as a question, is she Shanti? We have to add "a" at the end of her name. Ival Shantiya. We have to note here, when we are adding "a", it is not a separate word. It merges with the last sound of the object or name that we are questioning and forms as one word. We will look into this more detail. If the last sound is a consonant sound, we just add "a" to that consonant. For example, mirham ends with sound, a consonant. Plus "a" becomes "ma". So mirham becomes mirhama. If there is vowel at the end, there are some variations. For example, if the ending vowel is "a", as in appa, we cannot add another "a". So it takes "va" at the end. So appa becomes appava. If the ending vowel is e, or I, it takes ya at the end. For example, paravai ends in I. So it takes ya and becomes paravaya. Kili means parrot. It ends with E sound. It becomes kuliya. Silandi is spider. It ends with E sound, so it becomes silandiya. If the last sound is U, again there are some variations. If there is a long syllable before the last syllable, or if there are more than one syllables before the last syllable, as in the word karuppu, the U sound is removed and A is getting added. For example, in karuppu, it becomes karuppa. So the U disappears there and just becomes A. Another example is madu. Madu. Ma is a long syllable. Du ends with U again. So it becomes mada. U disappears and becomes A. So du becomes da. But if there is only one short syllable before the last syllable, as in pasu, so the word pasu has two syllables, pa, su. So the one before the last is pa. Pa is a short syllable, short a sound, short syllable. So when we are adding a to that word, there is no changes as in our previous example, but it just takes va as an addition. So pasu becomes pasuvaa. So now we look at the answers to these questions. So as you know, for yes-no questions, there are only two answers, yes or no. Is yes, illai is no. And we already learned idu and adu before. Idu to denote something closer and adu to denote something at a distance. In the same way, when we are referring to people, we use even, ival, or iver to denote someone who is nearby, and avan, aval, or avar to denote someone who is at a distance. So just remember, it starts with e if it is closer, if it is here. It starts with a if it is at a distance, there. In our lesson on introduction, we looked at en, enadu, or ennudaya to denote my. In the same way, we have some different variations to denote your. Un, unadu, or unnudaya refers to a person who can be a subordinate. Umadu, or ummudaya is used to refer to a person of equal level. Ungal, ungaladu, or ungaludaya is the most respectful way of referring to the person in front of you. So now, let's look at some examples.
Yes, no questions and answers.
ஆம், இல்லை வினாக்களும் விடைகளும். இது மிருகமா?
இல்லை, இது பறவை.
அது பறவையா?
இல்லை, அது விமானம்.
இது பசுவா?
ஆம், இது பசு.
இவர் உன் அம்மாவா?
ஆம், இவர் என் அம்மா.
We can also say இவர் உனது அம்மாவா?
ஆம், இவர் எனது அம்மா.
If we want to say more respectfully, இவர் உங்களது அம்மாவா?
ஆம், இவர் என்னுடைய அம்மா.
We can also say இவர் உங்களுடைய அம்மாவா?
ஆம், இவர் என்னுடைய அம்மா.
இவன் உன் தம்பியா?
ஆம், இவன் என் தம்பி.
We can also say இவன் உனது தம்பியா?
ஆம், இவன் என் தம்பி.
அவள் உனது அக்காவா?
இல்லை, அவள் என் தோழி.
அவர் உனது ஆசிரியரா?
இல்லை, அவர் எனது பாட்டி.
அவள் சாந்தாவா?
இல்லை, அவள் மாலா.
நன்றி.
Thank you.